Hello, welcome to Movie Summaries. Today we are summarizing a 2018 horror slasher movie called Hellfest. Fair warning, there are spoilers in this summary. Enjoy, and be sure to subscribe to watch more videos weekly and hit like. The movie opens at a haunted house. Excited teens file in, anticipating scares around every corner. We follow a group of 3 girls as they walk through, with one of them getting separated at one point. Now on her own, the girl searches for her friends, coming upon another dead end. She turns around to see a man in a mask, which she assumes to be a scare actor. She pleads with the man to leave her alone as he approaches her, but he stabs her in the stomach and hangs her body among the corpse props. That's actually the perfect plan. A car pulls up to a house, and Natalie steps out. Thanking the driver, the front door opens to reveal a very surprised and excited Brooke, Natalie's best friend. Hearing all the commotion, Taylor comes from around the corner, although Natalie doesn't seem as excited to see her. They have a very awkward reunion while they discuss their plans for the weekend, and Taylor reveals that Natalie's longtime crush Gavin will also be in attendance. Brooke's boyfriend, Quinn, comes to tell the girls that they have to leave to meet Gavin on their way to Hellfest, a traveling horror nights carnival. Quinn and Taylor try to scare Natalie by telling her about a girl who got murdered in a haunted house and wasn't found for 3 days because people thought her body was one of the props. They meet up with Gavin and Ash, Taylor's boyfriend. Gavin hands out the VIP wristbands to everyone, and they head into the festival. Actors and animatronics alike scatter the park, offering thrilling experiences to everyone walking around. The group goes off to the bar, where they take jello, blood shots, out of jumbo syringes. Meanwhile, outside, we see an ominous-seeming man entering the park. Once he makes it past security at the entrance, he pulls a grotesque-looking mask out of his hoodie and puts it on, clearly ignoring the no costumes rule on the signs. Back at the bar, the friends are debating which attraction they should visit first. One of them suggests the Deadlands, a particular part of the park where the scare actors are allowed to physically interact with guests. Natalie reluctantly agrees to go at some point during the night. Back outside, our mystery man is walking through the crowd. He spots a girl in the distance, berating one of the actors for trying to scare her. He seemingly sets his sights on her, approaching her and giving her a harsh shoulder check. She doesn't get scared by him either, calling him an asshole and pushing past him. He does not take kindly to this, as he swipes a knife from a nearby food vendor and sets out to stalk the girl. Natalie and her friends are heading towards their first haunted house of the evening. Gavin is explaining to her that the more scared she acts, the more the actors will mess with her, when a clown actor jumps out and causes both of them to jump. Natalie laughs at Gavin, who tries to brush it off, saying he has a very specific phobia of demon clowns. Sure, whatever you say, man. They enter the haunted house, which is a high school themed attraction. Taylor and Ash crack jokes at all the props and actors. Brooke and Quinn are 2 lovebirds, more caught up in each other than what's happening around them. Natalie and Gavin are still navigating how to act towards one another. The 3 groups split off on their own, with Natalie and Gavin walking through a hallway. Gavin teaches Natalie a secret for when they're surrounded by human-like props. He tells her to look at their hands to figure out which ones are real, and will try to scare her. The other 2 groups catch up with them, and we follow them through a ramped-up run through the halls with scares around every corner. It honestly looks like a lot of fun. At one point, the boys get ahead, leaving the girls behind, left to navigate the haunted house on their own. Natalie realizes the scare pattern and is easily able to point out where each actor is going to come from, until they reach a larger room, and she points out a door, expecting someone to jump out from it, and no one does. As the 3 of them stand waiting, the girl from before suddenly runs into the room, begging for help, claiming, "He's been following me." The girls assume she works for the park and is just an actor. Not too far behind her, the man with the mask enters and stands before Natalie, Brooke, and Taylor. None of them find him particularly scary and try to walk around him, but he blocks their way. Unamused, Natalie tells him that his girl, that he is supposed to be chasing, is hiding behind one of the curtains. He drags the girl crying from her hiding spot. Brooke and Taylor move on, but Natalie stays behind, somehow intrigued. After a few moments of just staring at each other, knife in hand, Natalie encourages him to just do it. When he stabs the girl, Natalie has a moment of unease as the thought crosses her mind that what she just witnessed was an actual murder. She meets back up with Brooke and Taylor outside. Just as Natalie goes to address her concerns, she sees an actor approach a girl with a prop knife and pretend to stab her, bursting a blood bag, which makes her rethink that perhaps it was just part of an act. She turns to look back towards the haunted house and sees the man with the mask standing looking at her. He brings his finger up to his lips, as if telling her to keep a secret. As the 3 girls are walking along, Natalie spots the man with the mask in the distance, watching them. She points him out to her friends, who wave, mocking him, and reassuring Natalie that he is just an actor who gets paid minimum wage to follow them around. The group splits off into pairs once again to play games. Quinn and Ash both successfully win their girlfriend's stuffed animals, but Gavin has terrible luck with all the games and is not able to get Natalie one. They walk together sharing a pretzel and enjoying each other's company when Natalie spots a photo booth and suggests they take some pictures. They get in, and after sharing a few laughs, get to share a passionate kiss, which is captured in their photo strips. The man in the mask stalks outside and grabs the couple's photos. Brooke notices this and goes to confront him and take the photos back, but he disappears before she can get to him. She tries to follow him into a back alley area, but the masked man is nowhere to be seen. Little does Brooke know, it's probably for the best she didn't find him. Quinn catches up and takes her back to the group. The group decides to finally head to the Deadlands, but Gavin has other plans. He tells the rest of the group to go ahead without him, and he will catch up with them, revealing to Quinn that he's going back to see if he can get Natalie a stuffed toy. After much resistance, the group heads off and gets in line without him. Back at the game booth, Gavin is unable to convince the worker to give him one of the toys without winning it, so he resorts to stealing. He makes his way into the employee break area and searches for an open locker, finally finding one with spare toys in it. As he searches for the perfect gift to surprise his newfound view, the man in the mask appears. Still assuming he is one of the actors, Gavin taunts him and tells him that he is taking his job too seriously. He tries to leave, but the man in the mask trips him with a giant wooden hammer, causing him to fall. Before Gavin can get up, the masked man jabs him in the throat. Gavin tries his best to crawl away, but to no avail. The masked man kicks Gavin and uses the giant hammer to smash his skull. Poor Gavin. He was just trying to do something nice for his new girlfriend. Back in line, Natalie texts Gavin because she's worried he won't make it back in time. The masked man takes Gavin's phone and uses his lifeless thumb to unlock it and respond to Natalie, saying he has a surprise for her. The group makes it to the front of the line, and Natalie is forced to take the coaster ride to the Deadlands by herself. Natalie sits in the coaster seat alone as it takes her through the many twists and turns on its way to the Deadlands. As she comes into one of the rooms, the ride suddenly begins to clunk and struggle before completely shutting down. The lights go out, and the emergency red lights flash, indicating that the ride is broken down. Natalie looks around to see if she can find any maintenance workers or employees. Unfortunately, all she sees is the man in the mask standing in the background. She calls out to him, asking if he knows how long it will take to fix the ride, but gets no response. As the man ominously inches closer and closer, Natalie begins to panic as she tries to free herself from the ride. Her friends hear her screaming from outside, which has Brooke pretty concerned about what's happening. The coaster car emerges from the ride, with the masked man straddling over Natalie. Everyone stands in shock as they debate how to react, and a group of men all in the same mask as our murderous friend appears to surround the group. A loudspeaker informs them that the other will guide them to the Deadlands. Relieved, the group all comes to the conclusion that the creepy man that had been following them all night was indeed just an actor, and they all share a good laugh about it. The group makes it into the Deadlands with Natalie once again stating that she thinks that they should wait for Gavin. Unable to keep the secret any longer, Ash spills the beans that Gavin is trying to get Natalie one of the stuffed animals, and that is why he is taking a while to catch up with them. If only they knew that their friend was actually lying in a pool of his own brain matter. Now that Natalie's worries have been quieted, the group decides to go on and have some fun. The group stops to get a map, which has to be pulled from the belly of a fake corpse. One of the actors runs up and throws Taylor over their shoulder, running away with her, while Ash jokingly calls out that he is going to need her back. If that were my boyfriend, I'd hope he'd do more than that. While they are walking around looking for Taylor, who eventually finds her way back to them, the group is approached by a bunch of other actors, dressed as burlap dolls, who silently take their hand and lead them to another part of the park. The doll actors lead them to a triple maze, where the boys and girls each pick a different theme to tackle first. While going through their haunted house, the girls come upon a hallway of hands that begin to grab at them as they walk through, which causes Natalie to get separated from Brooke and Taylor. Finding herself alone, she notices the masked man watching her from behind the wall of plexiglass. He begins to bang on the glass as Natalie struggles to get the exit door open. When she finally gets out, she is beyond panicked and hyperventilating. Brooke, Taylor, and Quinn all try to calm her down, while they wait for Ash, who is yet to come out of the haunted house. Inside, we see Ash lost, calling out for Quinn. The masked man appears and attacks him, tackling Ash to the ground. They wrestle, and Ash puts up a decent fight, but the masked man gets the upper hand and stabs Ash in the eye and leaves him to die in a pile of prop corpses. While they're waiting outside, and pukes green goo all over Natalie, so she and Brooke head to the bathroom to clean it off. Brooke steps out and leaves Natalie alone to finish up, while she is standing under the hairdryer, drying her hair with her eyes closed. The masked man appears before her. He reaches his hand out, all too close to caress her, but vanishes before she opens her eyes, leaving Natalie none the wiser that she is not alone in the bathroom. She enters one of the stalls to use the bathroom and decides to text Gavin again. She asks him if he is getting close to meeting back up with them, and when she sends the text, she hears a phone go off in the bathroom with her. She brushes it off as a response is being typed. Yes, the text reads. She smiles as she types, "How close?" and sends the message. This time, the notification sound goes off right outside her stall door, and she looks down to see those familiar, scuffed boots standing at her door. She panics and crawls under the stalls to get away, locking herself in another stall. As she tries to call for help, the masked man reaches from above the stall and grabs at her head. She flees from the bathroom and rushes to find Brooke. The two of them alert a security guard, who follows them to check the bathroom, but the masked man is gone by the time they get there. The security guard tells them that if no physical harm was caused, and without them being able to identify who it was because of the mask, there is nothing he can do. He suggests that their friends may be playing a prank on them. Brooke looks down and finds Natalie's stolen pictures with Gavin laying on the ground, confirming that it was the same masked man that has been harassing them all night. The two girls run to find Quinn and tell him that they need to leave, and question whether or not Ash has returned. Quinn says he has not seen Ash, and informs them that Taylor volunteered to participate in the park stage show. The show begins, and Taylor is brought out as a human sacrifice. She is strapped into a guillotine. As the crowd watches in anticipation, Natalie notices the same scuffed boots on the executioner, and runs to try and stop the performance, fearing for her friend's life, but security stops her. She fights, yelling and screaming that they need to stop him as the blade comes down onto her friend. To her momentary relief, it is a fake head that comes rolling onto the stage, while Taylor is left smiling at the crowd. The crowd closes, leaving Taylor and the executioner alone. Security instructs the executioner to undo the restraints on Taylor. Once they are alone, the executioner instead tightens the restraints and forces Taylor back under the blade, bringing it down on her neck. As it is a prop blade, it only leaves a minor, but still, nasty wound on her neck. While he winds the blade up for another drop, Taylor manages to escape and runs out to find help. Just like before, everyone assumes she is an actor playing a part and ignores her cries. The other three hear her cries and rush to find her, but the masked man follows close behind and stabs both Taylor and Quinn in front of everyone. Now exposed, panic spreads throughout the park as people rush to get away. The killer is focused on Natalie and Brooke, and he follows after them. The two girls run through the park, trying desperately to get away, and end up inside yet another haunted house. Honestly, they would have been better off staying in an open area. They discover that each room is triggered by a trip laser, and that as long as they don't set it off, none of the props will move or make noise. They hide in a closet and wait until they hear the masked man go by, before they try and go back out, only to find that he has locked the entrance, leaving their only option to be going through to the end. The girls arm themselves with props and quietly walk through each room. The masked man attempts to ambush them from behind, but Natalie spots him just in time to save Brooke. Still, Brooke receives a nasty cut on the leg. They continue forward and end up hiding among masked props at a dead end. The masked man finds a secret door and pretends to go through it, thinking he can trick the girls into revealing themselves. He stalks the room, trying to figure out where they are. When he thinks he's found one of them, he chops them down with an axe, only to find that it was a mannequin. Seeing the opportunity, Natalie attacks the masked man and gives Brooke the opening to get away. He overpowers Natalie and goes after Brooke, chasing her down a hallway. Just as it seems all hope is lost for Brooke, Natalie comes from behind and stabs the masked man, saving her friend. The two girls finally make their way out of the haunted house, meeting law enforcement at the exit. Officers search the entire place, but the killer is gone. Brooke and Natalie are safe. In a garage, we see the masked man putting away his veil in a cabinet full of masks. As he adds Natalie's pictures to his cache of trophies, he enters a house where a little girl is sleeping on the couch. The girl stirs, and we learn that she is the masked man's daughter. He embraces his daughter, who has no idea her father is a murderer. Damn, that friend group got destroyed. Hope you enjoyed our summary. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos weekly. Thanks.